Question number 1. Why make excuses for her behavior?
Why make excuses for her behavior?
Because you knew why she was acting the way she was acting. So why would you make excuses?
Wow. If I knew why she was behaving, I made excuses because to try to keep moving forward. I'm lost.
These are your words. Your words from the first interview.
Yeah, I know. I made excuses for her to help me understand why she's behaving a certain way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then after she continued to behave that certain way and you brought up help and she refused or decided not to get any, why did you keep making excuses for her? Because I mean, after a certain point,
Yeah, there were certain points, but I still always reverted back to this is why she's acting this way. This is why the wall is up, because of her past trauma. And I just kept reminding myself of that.
Okay. So how do you know she was talking to you out of anger or malice or contempt because of her past? How do you know she just wasn't?
It just seemed like every now and then there would be a trigger. I don't know how to explain that. I just know that she was hurt, and every now and then she displayed that hurt. And so when she was angry, I figured that hurt combined with the anger that I guess I attributed to or contributed to. It just had this certain look in her eye.
Okay. You mentioned how she would give you looks, I guess like dirty looks or bad looks, mean looks. Yeah.
Scout.
And you said you didn't deserve it. How do you know you didn't deserve it?
Well, when it becomes an everyday thing, I don't deserve that. You wake up that way, you go to bed that way. It was just not happy. And those looks was just like hate in her eyes.
Was it always like that?
Towards the end, yeah.
But not in the beginning?
No. Oh, no. We were never like that in the beginning with one another.
And then after the kids came?
Oh, there was certain moments because, I want my sons raised a certain way, but...
So from a difference of opinion, and then she'd give you a look. But then eventually the look became continuous.
That was like the standard, and I was like, And, I'm getting tired of this look.
And did you guys ever talk about the look? Did
Yeah.
she know she was giving you a look?
I brought it up. I'm like, this look that you're giving me, it's like, it's getting too much.
But you stayed.
I'm like, aren't you, you don't display any happiness. It's just constant towards me.
Right.
Yeah, so, someone looks at you like that with such discontent, such disgust, such anger, animosity, you're just like, okay, you gonna stop looking at me like that,
Right. But then you stayed. You guys, it became an everyday thing. You talked to her. It didn't change.
No.
But you guys stayed together. You stayed. There wasn't...
I stayed for my sons to be in their lives, to be the father at home, not a visiting father. That was not going to happen in my book.
Okay. Do you have a hero complex? It just kind of seems like, with the way the story went, you did everything to put her in the best situation that you could sacrificing yourself for. So I wanted to say the greater good, but just because I was on a Marvel thing right there, but you know, for your relationship, for her, like, do you think maybe you have a hero complex? I know Floydell would say like a Jesus complex, but I think it's more of a hero complex.
That prophet comment, that person is probably sitting on pins and needles.
Just waiting.
No, I don't have a Jesus complex, and nobody's Jesus. But yes, to want to do good for someone, to help them to be the best that they are, yeah. To try to, make things right, yes.
Do you feel like you're like the knight in shining armor?
I don't see myself that way.
No.
No. But when I was a kid, I used to watch this series called, wow, I just lost it. I did. That was, gosh, it had the word angel in it. Oh, well.
But I have a question, because, things, it took me a minute for it to register, because everything just looks so different, I lost it too.
But this is going to be edited out.
Gotcha.
No, we don't edit.
So, no, I remember. Because you had said something earlier.
Highway to Heaven, that was the name of the series, Highway to Heaven.
Oh, wasn't that a movie?
Okay.
No, it was a series. Yeah, the guy from Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
And he's an angel that's, I can't remember the whole plot, but he's on earth, and every place that or every person that was in some type of turmoil, he would help turn it around. But he wouldn't stay. He was there for that reason, to make things better, and he just moved on to the next town, to the next people, and
so he just kept saving people.
yeah, he kept helping.
Like a hero.
Well, I grew up wanting to do that, to help people.
Yeah, I remember watching that with you when it came out. That was a good show.
Highway to Heaven?
Yeah.
No, what
You mean reruns?
You wasn't with me. I was a teenager.
I was waiting for that to sink in.
What the heck? Because I don't remember showing that to y'all. That wasn't.
Yeah, but yeah, as I was saying, things look a little bit different. Like in your relationship, things change. Even how we're sitting right now, things have changed just a little bit. So my question is, Mama's attitude in the beginning, you can say it's perfect. It was nice, but then after some time, her attitude now changed. The looks that she was given, and so I just wanted just a little bit more clarity on how that happened, because she's with you through it all. So what is it that you think you did that caused that type of look? Because she's with you that entire time. So it's how that happened. What you do?
Yeah, it's always, what did I do? Yeah, that's the word on the street. But I don't know what brought about that animosity, the look, with such disdain. I don't know where that came from. I just know that I eventually got tired of it. But where that look came from, it was just that mad look, always constantly mad.
Gotcha.
Never happy, towards me. And so.
Did you think it was the direction of raising kids? Because you mentioned after we were born that there was a look and there was a certain way you wanted us to be raised. Do you think that possibly was a trigger for her, coming from what you've expressed as a controlling family? Because now it's like, oh, we're doing it my way.
No, we talked about rearing children before children came along. So,
gotcha.
And I don't know where the looks came from. It was over time, though.
Yeah.
When people are upset, yeah, there's a look.
Gotcha.
But when that look doesn't go away and it stays constant, then it's a problem.
Gotcha. So over time, you were always doing something.
No.
Oh, good luck.
Okay.
I was doing something to try to erase that look.
Gotcha.
All right. So you talked about the problem. And my question is, are you sure you understood what the problem was? Because I know the trauma of her past is kind of what you attributed to the way
Underlying,
she treated you and all of that.
the underlining problem.
Are you sure that that was it? That was the reason?
I would say that's part of it, not the whole reason. Other conflicts would be from her family. You know, I'm like, I didn't marry the parents or the aunts or the uncles. I married you, so their influence should not come in between us. So that was another topic, and how, oh jeez, it was always something related to that side. The way my sons were treated, one favored over the other. That was the issue for me, and there's a few things, but you can't pinpoint one over the other.
Okay.
It's a combination of things, you know, like any marriage. But it just seems like certain things were more amplified than others.
All right, I can see that.
I must say, parents do a very good job. Because growing up, I couldn't tell the difference on how I was treated compared to my brothers.
Oh Lord, you ate it up.
I'm
You
sure.
soaked it up.
What?
Yes. Yes.
So I have a note here that says it takes two to argue.
Yep. Yep.
Yet, when Floydell asks you about what you do, you didn't do anything.
No, he's talking about the looks. What caused those looks over time? If those looks stayed constant, that was just the way she looked at me.
Okay.
It wasn't like when we started out or in between, but at the end, that look was constant.
The look was
She was-
constant.
Yeah, she was not happy. She was not pleased. She wasn't content. Whenever she looked at me, that scowl that's all I ever got.
Did you guys have disagreements?
Towards the end,
No. Period.
oh, of course, there are disagreements.
Did you guys have disagreements that could have led to a further distance between the two of you and maybe some added scowls, as you put it?
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Like his 13th birthday celebration, she never let that go because I'm going to choose who I'm going to send my sons to, because eventually the other two will have theirs. That's how it was planned out to be.
Right.
And so I chose men that I looked up to, that contributed to me. And her father was not one, but she wanted him included, and I'm like, no.
So was there
So
no
that's-
compromise that could have been had?
Oh no.
No.
And what is the 13th celebration for the people who don't know what that is?
I thought that was explained at the other interview.
I
It
don't
wasn't?
think- I don't think so.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, we talked about it because I
Yeah.
said
Yeah, explain
you
it.
you didn't know this, but I had asked your dad about it because I noticed you weren't there.
Well, we can do it again because they might just tune in on this particular episode.
Well, given my Belizean side, and my eldest brother did research and traced the culture of the 𝐒𝐿𝐴. And so it's like the motherland, Africa, in many indigenous cultures at that. When children are born, they're under the mother. In some villages, the males lived on one side and the females lived on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
All the children were with the females. When the males reach a certain age, the male child,
Mm-hmm.
he then now goes to his father and
Gotcha.
around the other men to learn how to be a man and the responsibilities of a male.
Gotcha.
So I wanted to incorporate that with my sons.
Mm-hmm.
Once they reach a certain age, then it's now time to be trained to be a man,
Mm-hmm.
so to speak. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose their 12th. Once they turn 12, then those men that I've chosen, they will go for a weekend
Mm-hmm.
and spend time with that male and receive some wisdom, some knowledge, different perspective of a man.
Mm-hmm.
And so by the time the 13th birthday has come, then he has all this knowledge from respected men of mine, and he should be ready to accept more responsibilities as a young man, and then grow from there with my continued guidance. And
So did Mama understand that? Because how you said it was the child comes to the father.
right, the male child, yes.
Yeah, so it sounds like the father is making the decisions when it
yeah.
comes to the direction of the child.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to choose
sort-
who the people are
Yeah.
because it is a man.
So to speak, it's time to get off of the titty. And yeah, that's what it is. You know, you have to get her titty out your mouth, and now let's grow and mature.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So did Mama understand like the cultural and the direction that you were trying to do?
I-
Because you said she never let it go.
Yeah, because her father wasn't included. And you know, this is the same man that wasn't at the wedding.
Gotcha.
Now all
What's-
of a sudden I was supposed to ask, you know, I've never heard that before until I saw it. I was supposed to ask his hand.
Ask him for
Ask
hand
him,
in
yeah,
marriage.
ask him. Well,
You don't want his hand.
she seemed to forget that I wasn't liked anyway, and that she was pretty much shunned by her parents.
Mm.
Because when she was pregnant with you, she was told, I was right there. Oh, I see you knocked up like a dog again. Now, we got married after you were born.
Mhm.
And her family pretty much cut her off. So who am I supposed to go ask for her hand in marriage? You're not even talking to your own daughter, your only child. See, there's a whole lot of gaps that have not been filled in.
Gotcha.
And so when people make comments on the, you have to remember this is just a snapshot. This ain't the whole complete story.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah,
How often did you compromise when you guys had disagreements?
how can I put a number on that? I don't know.
Was it equal? Was
I'm pretty
many things mostly one-sided?
I'm pretty
Your
sure.
side?
I'm pretty sure it wasn't equal. And was it my side? Well, it depends on what you're talking about. But if it came to the family structure,
Mm-hmm.
then most likely it leaned towards what I said we were going to do.
And that includes the purchase of the house and where.
Oh
That
no,
was one of the things
I didn't choose the house. She did. I was working,
Mm-hmm.
and she went out and found the house, and I said, okay.
But you gave her the location.
What? We're living in India. This is
Mhm.
where the job is. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Well, this way.
I'm just asking because teacher, you could have applied for a job in LA, USD, or Fresno.
Well, first of all, I didn't like Fresno. When I got there as a freshman in college, I did not like it. But I didn't want to run from there because I'm not a quitter. I said I'm going to finish
Mm-hmm.
and then leave.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't go to LA or any other big city because I don't like big cities.
Mm-hmm.
And home is here. This is where my peoples are. And so I wanted my sons raised around my peoples. Raised around family.
Okay.
Yes.
Question is burning.
Yeah, and before you ask your question, I'm not going to run behind a woman and follow what she tells me to do.
You don't know my question.
Oh.
Let me ask it first.
Because I know this is where it's eventually going to head to.
My question is.
About to get hot.
My question is, although she got to pick a house, you decided where it was at. Because this is home to you, the desert.
The city, the desert, yeah.
This is home to you, and this is where your people are.
I don't think I want to eat yet. Oh, I choke.
Your children come from two people.
Yes.
So their people are here and there.
Yes. Okay.
So I don't quite understand why, just because you don't like the big city, because trust me, I'm not a fan either. But just because you don't like the big city, you wouldn't consider it.
No.
At all.
And I would not consider living closer to that family with all their influences. And I've seen some of those relationships over there.
Mm-hmm.
They could do a lot better if they got away from each other. I was not going to put my family next to that kind of environment. Over here on this side, we have a good fun time with each other. There's no drama and people crying and leaving family get-togethers all upset and all that. No, we don't do that. And I didn't want my sons exposed to that. I was never exposed to that. That was the first time I saw a family like that at a family get-together when it's supposed to be happy and fun time. And I was like, I'm not coming back to this no more. And so all the holidays were here. Now, since you brought up compromise, I said, if you want to go to your family, then go right ahead, because I can keep driving 2 more hours this way and be with my family. She chose not to go there to come with me because she bonded and clung to my family. This environment was so much better for her.
But it doesn't change the fact that that's still her family.
Oh, of course.
So,
and that was another argument. That was another argument when she was supposedly, disowned. I argued with her, those are your parents, at least call so they know you're okay. Because my biological parents are both dead and gone. So I was like, these are the only 2 you need to, and no, so we did, it bothered me. But eventually.
Really?
Oh yeah. All that, and when they eventually came to terms or she eased back into the fold, those that, she has, for instance, she has a cousin. And when her mother told her, I see you knocked up like a dog again, and tried to give us some stuff, some gifts, I'll just say gifts, that I'm pretty sure you met her, Gloria. Gloria gave for to give to Thelma, and when her mother told her that, I said, we're not taking those gifts, and we're not taking it like that. You just said this to her, and you want to give her something behind that? And I'm like, no. Well, there was a cousin that was supposedly disowned by that family, and so that cousin helped us out quite a bit, and was there for us. When Thelma got good with her family again, I said, do not cut her off like your family did. And I remember like yesterday, she just gave me this look. And she went to her family. Now all of a sudden, she doesn't know that cousin anymore. And I was so upset, it bothered me, and I said, you're wrong. You don't do that to people. And I said distinctly, word for word, I hope you don't do that to me one day. And as time went on, I learned more and more about her, and I was like, yeah, it is inevitable. Since I am a prophet, it is inevitable that this is not gonna last. I see stuff like that, and I was like, because that's not in my character to do that to people.
So compromise.
Still on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was an instance. You said that if it dealt with the family, the household, that it most likely would go to whatever it was that you were desiring, what you wanted, your side.
Whatever I decided, yeah.
It could be argued that everything you guys disagreed on had to do with the household because you guys had children. So every choice you make affects the household.
Yes.
So that would mean that almost every choice made was on your side because it affected the household, and if it affected the household, then you went with what you wanted.
It could have worked out that way.
So compromise wasn't actually a large or significant part when it came to disagreements. Because personally, as a woman, that would definitely garner some scowls.
Okay, but that's in the moment. That's not something you carry on and collect.
Oh, but if it continues, absolutely, because it just builds, and all you think are you're sitting there and it's like, it doesn't matter what I say or what I do, we're going to do what he wants to anyway. What is the point of me even being here?
Oh, okay, well, I can't control what somebody thinks.
But you can control your actions, and those thoughts are based on your actions.
Okay, then that has to be relayed, and then we can discuss it.
That's what the scowl was for.
No. In the end, if that's all you wearing is a scowl, it ain't no compromise from years previous. If that's the case, then you can't get in no relationship because you're always going to hold on to something and build it up to where nothing works anymore. There's nothing to smile about.
Well, if you're never heard, there isn't anything to smile about because you're just part of the wall.
Well, again, that's according to whatever that person is thinking, which no one can control. But if they're going to collect stuff and carry it forward over 2 decades, that's a problem. Because I'm not, I'm going to crack a smile every now and then. We're going to find some peace somewhere.
I guess that's why they have couples therapy, to talk about those things.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yes.
I forgot. You didn't want to do couples therapy. Yeah. My bad.
At the time. See, now you got to remember, I am 49 now.
Yes.
Now, I met her when I was 18.
Oh.
See, the 49-year-old now can look back and try to explain all this stuff in detail or dissect as much as possible. But that 18-year-old through 30 whatever, for those 20 years, in the moment, is not dissecting anything. You're reacting.
Oh, I totally and completely understand that. It is very easy to react, especially when you're in the midst of something.
Oh, yeah.
However, at 18 makes sense. In the young 20s makes sense. In your mid to late 30s, at some point you'd have to think, even if in the midst of an argument, you do argue, you react, you would take a minute to reflect on what just happened because you are no longer 18 years old. You're a mature man.
Yes.
And then go back to the situation possibly with a
Okay.
newfound perspective, or at least new words.
Now, if
or,
it was just that, then yeah, but it ain't. It's not just that. I'm also dealing with a wayward son that was manipulated, and and then I'm also dealing with the man or the people at the job that are constantly on the attack. So, take time to reflect on compromising over chicken versus steak.
Because it's normally not about chicken versus steak, it's about something else. But if you don't
Okay.
take time to reflect,
Okay.
then it's always a problem. And life is always going to continue to happen. That's why you have to make time to take time to reflect. But
Okay.
since you brought up manipulation,
But I'm glad y'all are so enlightened now. That's good, because that's not you got to remember, I come from a different time period.
right,
And
that
I
is
had
also
different-
true. And
different
perhaps
examples.
If more candid and open conversations such as these were had,
Mhm.
things could have been a little bit more different.
True.
Or
Mhm.
gone a totally different way from the beginning.
True.
So
Yeah, but
that was not the case.
the wisdom I had is what I used, and as I learned, I grew. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but
Hey.
you want me to
okay.
say it one more time?
Moving on. So, why do you think Floydal was manipulated? Like, how do you know he was manipulated? Because I know that is the one you're talking about.
Well, I began to notice that whenever I gave direction,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't what was done. And then my ex was given approval to do other things without us discussing this. And then there's all this whispering and talking with one another, and I don't believe that parents and children should have secrets from another parent.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a family, everything should be in the open,
Mm-hmm.
so we can discuss things if there's a discussion that needs to be held. But all this behind my back type of thing wasn't cool. So how I know this, because she would have this little smirk smile whenever he thought he had enough
Showing
balls
force or
to stand
something.
up against me. Yeah. And I had to say it like that, balls. and she was always trying to protect him,
Mm-hmm.
not the others. Well, the others didn't get out of line like him, but and I was like,
need it then.
yeah. And then every night he's passive aggressive.
Oh,
He ain't gonna be in your face or say stuff out loud. He'll just do little things to get on your nerves, and little side looks and stuff.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
And it had his mother's approval by her little smirks and smiles. And I was like, what the, oh.
did you guys discuss, like you and his mom, did you guys discuss? Because you said that he and her would go and discuss and chit chat, and then he'd come back a whole new person, just
Yeah.
completely defiant. So, and then you would say to do or execute whatever you were saying.
I can't
Were there
I can't say that I recall
Mom and dad
any.
talks?
I can't say that there was actual sit down discussion about it, but I voiced out loud in front of everybody, I don't like this, what's going on here.
Okay.
And then one time he talked to me out of turn, and I said, don't think you can talk to me like your mama does,
Mm-hmm.
because she got something in between her legs, and what's in between yours I don't want. I was beside myself, and I was really upset. I'm like, your mother gets away with it because what's in between her legs. You don't have nothing for me, so don't talk to me like that.
Okay.
And luckily he was way in the third row seats where I couldn't reach him while I'm driving.
Got
Because if
it.
he was behind me, I would have snatched himself up to the front seat.
Okay. So when I said discussion, I mean, I'm glad you answered, because that was going to be my follow-up question about did you ever talk with him about his behaviors? But my question was meant with you and
Yeah, I
the
know.
mom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So, that was the
Whatever I had to
really-
say, I say out loud. So no one can run around and say, Dad said this or your father said that. I do it out in the open so nobody can lie on me and try to twist my words. They all gonna hear it at the same time.
Okay. Did
So
you-
I let another time they were whispering again, and she lied to me and said, "We're talking about surprising you with a gift." Okay. Now I knew that was a lie. I said, "Oh, okay." And I let a week pass by, 2 weeks pass by, a month pass by, 2 months, and then they go at it again. And I said, the last time you told me that it was supposed to be a surprise for me, I said, so where's this gift at? I ain't got no gift yet. I'm like, you need to cut that out. What is this? And, I never get any answers, so I had to adjust.
I honestly would have used that as an excuse to buy myself something and be like, thank you guys.
Well, money was scarce and tight. I had to make sure stuff was paid for, necessities. But yeah, I just had to adjust. And then eventually I had to ignore that. And that's what I did until he got way too bold, and then I had to snatch him up. Yeah.
You
That was
wanted to say something?
no, that was a regular thing. But I was going to say, it was regular. But I was going to say that when you spoke out so everyone could hear, one could argue that created a line between me and my brothers, because it's almost like an isolation that this is the one person that does wrong, doesn't do things right, don't be like that. And so now the other two are looking like, oh, I need to take one step away, and then now there's two together in one.
Yeah, but it didn't play out that way. I didn't draw no line in between y'all and label you like the example you gave.
According to
All of this was visible.
You said according to who?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Because that would be your perception, but
No.
they could have perceived it differently.
Okay, now why would he, when he's going along and he knows that his mother and him are doing stuff contrary to how the structure that has been set, so why would he think I'm drawing a line? He shouldn't think that. Maybe the other two could, but they were laughing because they couldn't believe that he thought he could get away and me not react.
I wasn't there, so I'm just asking.
Well, no, they laughed, especially when he tried to run from me and he didn't think I was fast enough.
Oh yeah, they thought that was real funny.
Yeah, or when I made the comments like, your mama can talk to me this way, and they were laughing, and I'm upset, and like, stop laughing, type stuff. But no, no one can argue that. Not inside the family. Outside the family, no matter what they think they see, they don't know.
Okay. In the first interview, you talked about you doing your part and she doing her part.
Oh yeah, that if my part is 80%, at least do your 20. Yeah, I remember that. I was inspired by my college brother, Rodney Branch, your uncle.
And he pulled that before the Tyler Perry movie, 80-20.
Oh yeah, that was years ago before Tyler Perry came out.
Do you believe in picking up the slack?
Yeah, I'm the head of the household. I'm the husband. I'm the father. So yeah, I have to.
But that means more than your 80%.
Hey, you have to. A man has to keep his family lifted up. he can't just sit back and say, well, that ain't my part. No, you gotta keep the household going. You can't just sit back and, watch the roof cave in because you're not responsible for, supposedly you're not responsible for the roof.
So that would be your response to why would you hope against something you know is going to happen? He essentially called himself a prophet. Would that be the most appropriate response? That a man has to be a man. He made his decision. This is his family. He has to do his best to keep his family intact and to lift them up.
And see, I don't see right there. That's a weak statement to me. That a man would say something like that, knowing that you love this woman and you have children with this woman, and why would I stick in there? That's how I took it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I'm like, okay, so if I see that something is, flawed, let's say, you see a little thread, am I going to go over there and keep pulling that thread, watch the material unravel, and I'm saying it's going to unravel eventually, and I'm supposed to do, what the heck? That don't make no sense.
Yeah.
But I'm going to try to prevent that from happening. And plus, I love this woman with all of my being. I can't just walk away. Now, I say that not at the beginning of the relationship, not before you all were born. I say that after I have my first son, second pregnancy. I said that afterwards. So when I saw that this marriage ain't gonna make it because of that controlling influence from her side onto her, easing its way into our marriage, and I still can't walk away from my son. There's no way that was going to happen. I'm not going to be an absent father. So anybody that can say that comment, I'm like, well, you walk away from your child. I'm not that stereotypical brother that all of a sudden I'm a world-class track athlete and can sprint and run away real fast. That's not going.
So that's how you would see it. You would see it as walking away from your son.
Yeah.
Because I personally don't believe that a child is a reason to get married or to stay in a bad marriage. But that doesn't mean that you're walking away from the child or your responsibility to that child. Because you can still absolutely co-parent and be present. That is absolutely possible. But for you, in the way that you perceive it, that is not an option.
But I know
doesn't go together.
I know her family. And it wasn't gonna be that easy for me to be in my son's life. Plus, there's thing in the court of law, mother's rights. Fathers don't have that many rights. Message. And there is no way somebody's gonna tell me when and when I cannot be a father. And father doesn't have a set time or date. And visiting fathers don't get much time. And that wasn't gonna happen. That wasn't an option. So the compromise was I'm gonna stick in there as long and as hard as possible. I'm gonna do everything I can to make this work for the better.
So at that point, it was 50% love and emotional connection for your first love, the woman that you decided to be with, and me, and then my brothers after. It was a 50-50.
Well, yeah, your mother was
Kids
first.
To continue forward.
Yeah, well, yeah, she was first. She was always first in my book.
Okay.
Even before you. In my, before my sons. Until that changed.
Well, that explains a lot. Even at your early age in your guys' relationship, and then for your later years, it was still that 50-50 to keep pushing for the marriage to work, for the family to be together?
No, it didn't. No, it never stayed 50-50 because she wasn't at the top of the list.
Remember?
After so many years and
Yeah,
so much turmoil, I was like, well.
So when it switched, why don't you just separate? When she stopped being number one,
Because
why
I didn't want my sons in the split.
I got you, but at that point, we're old enough. We can decide where we're going to be.
No, at that point, no, y'all weren't old enough.
How old were they?
When the split occurred?
No,
for me to
when
make that
you
decision?
made the switch
So
to she's
mama's
not
number-
priority,
Yeah, mom was number 3.
and you could have split at that
Number
point. When did?
This
Well, how old was he? Because
for me is when he started high school. So activities were beginning.
Okay,
Yeah. And
so
gotcha.
yeah,
13.
no,
or 13. Okay.
Yeah,
So right after
Becoming a
becoming
man.
a man.
gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
yeah, you connecting dots now, huh?
No.
Seeing the timeline.
No. I'm
Okay.
just.
Yeah, cause when he starts feeling himself, when males start feeling themselves, yeah, the father has to be there, or they will overrun the mother, and they would have been too much to deal with for her alone.
Okay.
Yeah, my
Can't speak to
sons,
that.
yeah.
So we talked about control.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that considering where she came from, you were not controlled. Like this environment was the exact opposite of control. And you said, if memory serves me correctly, that you asked her, how can I be controlling when I come home and bring you the check to pay bills and all that stuff? Aren't there very many ways to be controlling?
Okay.
Not just, I want you to wear this or whatever she's experiencing in her previous home life, but, here's the check, you need to pay these bills and this needs to be done this way. Or, there are other ways that someone could be, quote unquote, controlled or be in a controlling environment, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
No, that's the question, yes or no.
Yeah,
There are other ways.
There's many ways you can control somebody.
Okay. That was it. I just wanted to make sure that it was
What is it
understood
leading
that,
to, though?
that was the question. Just making sure that it was understood that just because she wasn't in the controlling environment with her parents doesn't mean she wasn't in a controlling environment here, because there are many different ways to be in a controlling environment.
Okay.
It just depends on the people.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay.
Did you have a comment that you wanted to add to that? Or?
There has to be
'Cause
some
again,
specificity about what was I controlling
Decision
for
making,
her.
voice, space, not so much physical space, but her space as a person to be herself.
She could.
I don't know.
She had the freedom to go and do whatever she wanted. Now, when we have little children, you can't really go and do what you want. If I'm
Of
at
course
work,
not.
I need you here for when our sons come home.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, but other than that, there's
You
no
mentioned
restrictions.
folding towels.
I didn't mention that, she did. But I do remember
I
that.
think we talked about.
Yeah, I do remember that. No, I didn't mention folded towels.
No, well, it was in our after conversation because he and I had a whole conversation about,
Cutting strawberries.
yeah, with you.
Certain way you need to cut them strawberries.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but it wasn't in the recorded, our recorded one.
Yeah.
Should have recorded that one anyways. But just for us, I mean.
I don't remember that conversation.
Yeah, I was
about
just,
folded. I said, oh, I do remember that, but nah.
so that was that one.
What did I say then about towels?
You just mentioned like you wanted them folded a certain way, and she didn't particularly feel that was necessary, and she
No,
went
that's
there.
what she said in her interview. I
No,
didn't
but
say
you
that.
said it too, because you actually had towels on the couch chair thing.
The chase.
Couch chair
Twin
thing.
bed for her.
Pretty much. But yeah, and you were showing,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think he like picked one up. So yeah.
What?
Yeah, it was in our after conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had
And
a
that's
long.
and I think
That's funny though.
yeah, and the thing that I'm learning is that 2 + 2 does equal 4, but there is more than one way to where you can get to the sum of those numbers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the sum of 4. So there's always multiple different ways.
Now, do
that
you
can get there.
remember y'all's linen closet ever being orderly? So if if I was that controlling, but
Yeah, there were days it was just in there.
that's why that's
Just in there.
it's just so. If I was that controlling, that garage wouldn't be full of dirty clothes.
It wouldn't look the way it looked either.
The house would have been spotless instead of looking lived in. See,
But that's what you would feel controlling would be, not necessarily what she would feel controlling would be.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna label a man controlling, then
Go all in.
You don't have to.
the man will have to be all. Just labeling a man like that, using the word controlling, that ignites all kind of thoughts and ideas. Everybody
Can assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they
Absolutely.
can assume that, dang,
On everything.
he had his whip going, you better, it wasn't no slave driving.
People can assume anything with any words that you
Well,
say.
according to the comments,
You
a
can
whole
assume-
lot of assumptions was made,
Mhm.
since I'm narcissistic.
Let's see.
It's all about me. It's my world.
Do you see yourself as a victim?
No. Don't have time to be a victim. When you're a man and you caring and keeping your family safe, cared for, you don't got time to be a victim. You gotta make sure everyone else is taken care of. You don't got time. You gotta get to the job. You gotta make sure you make enough money to keep the family going. You gotta make sure when you get home and she says you gotta whoop the child, and you gotta go do that. And then you gotta make sure there's food in the cupboards, you gotta make sure the lights are gas. I didn't have time to be a victim.
Can I just say that I understand
Mm-hmm.
that you are a man,
Mm-hmm.
but I would personally appreciate it
Mm-hmm.
after years,
Mm-hmm.
plural, of being a single mom,
Mm-hmm.
that you don't specifically single out that as a man, you don't have time to be a victim, because as a parent, you don't have time to be a victim. Whether you are in a relationship or whether you are single, whether you are male or whether you are female, that is a personal something for myself. Little tidbit for you guys.
Okay,
That was
but these questions are related to when I once was married.
Yeah.
So she can be a victim all she wants, but I can't. I gotta make sure I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Otherwise, we could be out in the street. So
No, that
yes, because I was a single parent for a while too. I still didn't have time to be a parent. So
how were you
I
a
mean,
single
to be
parent
a
when
victim.
you were married?
no, after the marriage was over,
Uh-huh.
it was just me and my sons.
Oh, okay. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah.
Right. But that puts you in a different category because you're no longer a couple. You are
Yeah.
by yourself.
Yeah.
So no matter what, it absolutely falls on you. Someone is there.
Yeah.
You got 80 she got 20. You pick up each other's slack, but you still have to do.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's just not.
Yeah, I'm kind of equating that with excuses. I don't have time to have excuses for myself. You know, there's no excuses for failing as
No excuses.
Yes.
for failing as a husband or a father when you're charged to make sure the family is well.
Yeah. No excuses, like the shirt says. You got to make moves. You can't do both. You can't make excuses and make moves at the same time. So, One Mission Apparel, we decided to sponsor them. We like it. It's simple, straight to the point. When you have goals in mind, you want to achieve them. And the only way you can really achieve them is when you're dedicated, you're determined, you're persevering towards it, and it makes it a whole lot better when you have a team, a village all around you. So you guys make sure you head over to their website. I'm going to drop it right here on the screen so you can see it and support their mission. Yeah. Did I just say village? I did say village. That is a wonderful promo code that you can use through Saved by Christ. They're going to get you 15% off. Got the free shipping on your orders above 40. So make sure you support our sponsors, Saved by Christ Apparel, the village, 15% off. Yeah.
All right, let's see.
So you brought up getting whoopings, right? Being the whooping facilitator,
Since you brought it up.
the connoisseur, and sometimes it'd be the hand, sometimes it'd be the ring, sometimes it'd be the belt, sometimes it just might be whatever
The
is
ring?
nearby.
What?
Yeah, you never know. So I would say from me, my perspective, having to endure those, because I was regular. I was a regular visitor. I was not as frequent. I didn't have all the points Ozell had when it comes to getting whoopings, but I was there. And my point of view is, we're with mom the whole time, it's cool, and then we act up. All right, wait till your daddy get home. And it's like, oh, dang. The whole mood is now over, because now we know it's gonna go down. And so when that is something that regularly occurs, now you have a developed mentality towards your other parent. The Punisher has now entered the room.
And I couldn't stand that. I'm like, why don't you take care of it when it happened? Why I gotta come home when I wanna say, hey, you know?
Yeah. And so
now I gotta whoop somebody.
so the mentality as a child for me during that time was, I mean, even I'd be knocked out sleep in the middle of the night and and it's just like, you know what? I don't like that anymore. Because that's all he does. He whoops. He goes home. He comes home whooping. He leaves. We don't see him. He's out working regularly when you're commuting. So it's just, you know what? That just sucks. I don't like you no more. And I think that kind of contributed to me siding more to my mother. So I wouldn't say it was 100% for me, manipulation, but more so that, coupled with a very, very distinct night when I had my asthma bronchitis attack. And there was a conversation Mama was having that shouldn't have happened in front of me. And I don't remember exactly what it was about, but I remember saying these words: Mama, I have your back. You don't have to worry about anything. And we were in the excursion on the way back from the hotel. So I don't know what that age was. I think it was 11 or 12. But for me, that point, it was Team Mama all the way. Dada only gives whoopings. And then that, I think that was an opportunity where other seeds were planted, as in, we never get to go to LA for the holidays. We're always here with the Wilsons. All we get to do is go on the weekend for one full day, which is Saturday, because we have to come back on Sunday. So I think the seeds were planted. But for me, that helped make my internal decision to be Team Mama. Mama all the way.
And I noticed he didn't have a memory of me saying something
Saying what?
or having a conversation in front of him.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't do grown folks conversation in front of my sons.
Yeah.
Because that will bend their ears. Yep.
Oh, there you go.
And so I learned there was other conversations about me, and I was like, wow, she's saying all that stuff about me? Interesting.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see.
You almost done with your questions?
Oh.
Because I'm ready for the rapid fire segment.
Oh, yeah. So my other question, well, okay. So because you grew up in the church, it was mentioned that there were disparities when it came to all of you guys going to church. And so I was just wondering, you know, one, why the whole family altogether didn't seem to, you know, constantly go to church together, and also if during, you know, the relationship as it dwindled on little threads, did God ever come up in, you know, scripture and prayer with the two of you together, gonna go see someone? I know in the beginning there was no like premarital counseling and it wasn't a thought, but you know, as it's getting down to the boiling points.
The imagery is going to be so terrible because she decides to ask this question now as you're chomping on food. So people are going to think like, oh, okay, talking about God, he's checking out. Look at him eat from the bowl.
It just so happened to happen that way.
Because when you're a prophet, you knew that this question was coming. So why would you begin to partake?
Of the forbidden fruit.
Of the forbidden fruit, you know?
Dragon fruit is not forbidden.
Well, this topic of me and my attendance at church. Let's see. I put in 16 plus hours a day. So I'm just painting a picture, it's not an excuse. I was a commuter. When I taught at Capistrano Valley High School, that was 5 hours a day. And Dana Hills High School in Dana Point, that was 5 hours a day commute every day. When I worked over there in Desert Hot Springs High School, that was an hour plus every day. When I taught in San Bernardino, that was 3 hours. And this night, mind you, I coached, and I was the advisor. So depending on the time of night, and then coming home, you need to whoop something. I'm like, oh. Hi. But so when the off season, whenever I wasn't coaching, I'm lazy. I'm lazy on the weekends. There's nothing philosophical about this. I don't understand why people want to get all philosophical about me not going to church. Now, I would go to church, show up late, because when I get ready, I get ready. And I mosey on to church. Other times, I'm not going to church. And then one time I was woken up by my aunt out of my sleep. It's like, hi. And in my mind, how you get in here, you know? And then she proceeded to chastise me. Since I'm the one child that can be chastised by everybody. And I'm like, what did she say to make my aunt come all the way over here to wake me up out of my sleep to chastise me? And then to be blamed for not being in my children's lives and don't be like your uncle. And I'm like, it's not even like that. What? Other than that day, just happened to be, she picked an argument. And I was like, I ain't going to church and sit next to somebody I'm mad with. Not today. I went back to bed. So there's nothing philosophical about this. I was lazy and tired, and I wanted to rest. Because when you have to commute 5 hours, you know you got to leave at 4 in the morning. So yeah, so that explains that. Or I'm late.
So when that episode, when you know you have to get up early in the morning, walk on here, and you're getting ready for work, and mama wants to argue, you be like, shut up. And you go out to work.
One time, Lord have
So
mercy.
That Friday, that's when the Lord laid his head. So did when Jesus rose on the Sunday, now did mama raise up in the spirit of irritation because of what happened on the Friday? And she ended up telling Abel she just went off?
That was something different.
I know, I was just trying to be funny.
Oh, okay. that was totally different.
So then the second part of that question was, as marriage was dwindling on its last string, did God ever come into mind? As far as you guys
I talked to the Lord quite a bit because,
individually, but not together.
well, no, I didn't talk to the Lord with her. No. Yeah, I need to talk to the Lord myself. No, we didn't come together because it was doomed. It was on his last leg.
And no time before it was quote unquote doomed, did you think about it either?
Together? No. You get these deterrents that, those glaring looks. But no. I talked to the Lord myself to continue to give me the strength, courage, and patience. That was my simple prayer all the time.
That's a good
And that's a hard prayer. Even my father figure told me, hey, my son's godfather. He was like, he said, I don't even pray for that. Patience. He said, in order to get patience, you're going to have to go through some things. And, with my Superman complex, I can handle anything. Yeah.
That I'm sure.
I handled it until that kryptonite wore me out.
I just,
Okay. Cool. Come on.
It's all good.
This
is gonna be a 3-hour episode.
This is the question. The straw to break the camel's back.
Huh?
Yeah, I just got chastised and made fun of for my baking. So, no, the straw. No, not him.
Oh.
Friends and my sister. The conversation about a particular secret. It was found interesting that you were on one side of the house where their mom, or the kids and the mom, are on the other side of the house as you're talking to them, as if she's just kind of part of the children being scolded with the kids. Just wondering, did you see that picture that way? Like, did you think you and her should just kind of, the two of you talk? I mean, if the kids heard, because it wasn't supposed to be a big secret, but like, just you and her, not you, her, and them over there?
No, because we had our own private talk before that. Long before that. And I finally gave in and I said, okay, we can separate like you always wanted to do. And I said, these looks that you give me, I'm going to say or do something that I can't take back. And I asked her, how much time you need. And she eventually told me 1 year. We had a brief discussion that I'm keeping my sons because it's my privilege and my responsibility, my duty, my honor to raise my sons. They're teenagers, so they need to be with me. And but yet I still had hope that something might just miraculously happen and we would be fine. But when I found out my son was going to have a baby, that did it for me. And I called them all together because, again, when I have something to say, I don't want no one lying on me or repeating something I didn't say. And that's how that went down. I needed them all to hear what I had to say at the same time and then apologize to 𝐒𝐏𝐻𝐿 because there was no turning back for me. I can't trust you. You've already been doing and saying stuff behind my back without my inclusion. Got my son's head all turned around and I told her, I said, you did good. You did good on Flordell, but you're not going to do that with these other two. And my sons heard me say that, so they knew. And I said, that's not going to happen. And so I needed them all together, so they all hear what I had to say. I apologize, 𝐒𝐏𝐻𝐿. He's not going to be raised with both parents in the house, together.
So was it intentional to have her sit with the kids and you be on the opposite side of
They all sat. That was just random. They sat together. Plus, I was facing that way, so that was the one couch that was sitting there. So